Hello everyone and welcome to Our Ventura. I'm your host Sandra Siepak. Our special guest today is 44th District Assemblymember Jacqui Irwin. Thank you, Jacqui, for joining us on the show today.
Well, I really appreciate the invitation.
Great. Well, there's a lot to talk about, so let's get busy. We're going to give you a chance to just give us a little bit of an inside look at what your office does for the folks here in Ventura County.
Well, right now I have two offices, and the big focus up in Sacramento is on veterans, and education is always a huge priority, and I'm also the chair of the Select Committee on Cybersecurity and the National Committee on Cybersecurity for state legislature. So that's the work we're doing up there, and down here it's all about constituent services. So we do a lot of programs for seniors, senior scam type programs. I have a coffee once per quarter, and then we do special programs like book bags for children. We do something around Christmas, and I would encourage everybody to just check our website to see what's going on here.
Great. I know you've been very passionate about your work with veterans.
Yes.
And of course, veterans housing is certainly an issue now too. Can we talk a little bit more about that?
We certainly can. California is home to the largest number of veterans in the United States, and a very large portion are right here in Ventura County because of our military base.
Yes.
And so important that when these men and women come back that they are getting the services that they are entitled to. And one of the bills we had a couple of years ago was to increase funding for the county veteran service officers that help them get those services. But one of the big issues is housing, and so Prop 41 passed a number of years ago by the voters, and there has been some money for projects. We are very excited that a number of them are being done right here in Ventura County. So City of Ventura, led by Cheryl Heitman, they were very interested in doing a project on their own. So we were able to facilitate getting the land from the veteran home over to the City of Ventura, and right now the requests for proposals are out. So we're looking forward to a housing project right here in the City of Ventura. In addition, Many Mansions is doing one in Oxnard.
Right, which, and we've had Many Mansions on the show here, and they were very instrumental in talking more about that. And certainly the veterans really need it, so I think that's a really important issue. I also know that some of the things you have done in the past have really made a difference. The Brine Line project is one of them. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I certainly can. Good. And one of the biggest issues over the last few years, not as much this year because we had so much rain, but California is always ready to go into the next drought. It's just making sure that we're doing everything we can to increase our water supply here in Ventura County. So Oxnard has a water purification plant, and they were not able to get the permits going to get that water out to the farmers. So I called up the head of the State Water Board and said, I don't think the governor would be very happy if he knew that this water was available. So we were able to facilitate getting the temporary permits, and now the brine line is being used to deliver water to farmers. And we've talked to some of the farmers. They need, especially farmers that grow in substrate, so not in the soil, but actually in like coconut shells. They need very pure water. So
in other words, they can't use recycled water for that.
They can't use recycled water. They need pure water because it's very precision delivered. And so Driscoll is one of the farmers that's using it to grow their berries. But there's a lot of possibility with that water purification plant, and we're hoping to expand the capacity there, help Oxnard expand their capacity.
Yeah, which is, and it is an issue because there is such a big agricultural community here, especially in Oxnard, and I think it's so very much needed. So I hope you'll be able to continue working on that too. Transportation issues are always a concern for everybody, including people here in Ventura County. Let's talk about some of your work and the goals that you hope to achieve in the transportation area, especially the Rice Avenue overpass. That might be one of them we'll start with.
All right, well, the legislature passed a big transportation package this year, and it is going to double the streets and road funding for every city. So you'll see a lot more of your potholes being filled. You'll see pavement in much better condition. But in addition, I was able to secure a commitment from the governor and the Secretary of Transportation to fund the Rice Road grade grade separation.
Yeah.
And that's right in Oxnard, at Rice and Fifth, and that was the site of 2 Metrolink accidents. It's been the site of a number of other accidents, and right now it's a number 3 priority in the state to get done. But it would be very difficult to do it here in Ventura County because we're not a self-help county, so we don't tax ourselves. So we have a commitment for $70 million.
And that money comes from where now?
And that money is coming from the transportation package.
Oh, okay.
And the great thing with that is not only will it make that grade separation safer, so when the trains go across, they won't come in contact with the cars, but the port traffic and ag traffic goes through that intersection, and they are idling there for very long periods of time when the trains are crossing, so it causes a lot of local pollution to that community. So I've worked with the city of Oxnard and the county. They're going to be working together on this project. We're trying to expedite it to get it done as quickly as possible.
Okay. You know, Ventura County has become quite the tech corridor now, which in reading more about it, I had no idea that it was such a growing community for technology. Can we expand a little bit on that, and you can talk a little bit on that subject?
Yes, well, we have these incredible companies like Haas Automation and Symantec and Amgen that are right here, and a lot of startups that that are in this area too. And we have the military base, a lot of very important work going on at like NAVSEA and NAVAIR. What all these companies have in common, since we're talking about tech, is the need for engineers.
Right.
And so one of the big priorities my first year was to get funding for the engineering school at Channel Islands. And we were able to get that in the budget. The school is going to be taking its first students very soon in mechatronics. And the businesses around here, the high-tech businesses, are really excited that we are going to now have our own homegrown engineers, because what they have to do right now is they have to attract engineers from out of the state, because housing is so expensive, it's often very difficult to retain them. So our hope is we provide engineers to our local companies, and that hopefully some of these graduates from Channel Islands will be starting their own companies. The additional big selling point for Channel Islands is that it's a highly female-attended institution. I think it's 65% females, and the opportunities for females in tech is just tremendous. And
so how will they attract more women to the program? Is that something that you've really put sort of the wheels in motion for?
Well,
you're a former engineer, so that's why I'm asking.
There is a lot of work going on in that area, and what we find for women, and actually underrepresented minorities too, it's Channel Islands is also a Hispanic serving institution, is that early exposure makes it much more likely that somebody looks at one of the STEM fields as a career opportunity. So there's a lot of work going on in introducing young girls or introducing kids in this area to STEM. Great robotics programs that are female-only robotics programs. And then just exposure at college. Once they go there, they know that there's mechatronics there, and hopefully with early exposure and with understanding what the opportunities are that a STEM degree offers them, that they'll be more likely to go into those fields. And we're really, one of the big issues in the state legislature is the income gap. Not only between men and women, but also with a lot of our minority groups. And this is a great way to bridge the income gap. These are exciting, high-paid jobs. And the industry, it's very important that they have diversity too, so that they can innovate with different people's ideas.
It's a great opportunity for everybody, for both the companies and many incoming students now, to secure good jobs down the road. And engineers are widely needed, of course.
Absolutely.
So I think this is going to be a win-win for everybody. I know your agenda has always been concerning about 3 things, and that is education, budget, and jobs. How are you faring so much on that front today?
I have done a number of bills on education, so it was really important for me to get the engineering school. We also have focused very much on improving remedial education at the community college level. And we looked at some of the numbers at Oxnard Community College here in Ventura, and if young people are in remedial classes, often they're stuck in them for 2 or 3 years and they end up dropping out, and that's a big loss of human capital. So I had a bill a couple of years ago that gave grants for schools to revamp their remedial education with high impact practices. And then this year I had another bill that's changed how we place students in remedial education to something that's been proven to be much more successful, because we want students to get out of these remedial programs as quickly as possible and into either a 2-year vocational program or onto a 4-year college program. So education, changes everything.
It's the key to success.
It is.
It really makes a big difference.
The great equalizer. My parents were immigrants. They came here. They did not have a college education. I'm the first one to graduate from college.
Wonderful.
And as a elected official, I want to make sure that every young person has that opportunity, and that has to be that they have access to a good education.
And you give them a lot of hope and a lot of insight as to where you came from and where you are today. I think that makes a big difference.
If I can inspire young people to keep reaching for the stars, then I'm happy to do that. And there are so many opportunities here, but we just need to make sure that young people are given a path
Every
forward.
opportunity.
Yes,
Absolutely. I know one thing you're also very passionate about is cybersecurity.
Yes.
And that's a big issue today for a lot of people. Let's touch on a little bit about that particular topic.
Yes, I've been basically, since I've been in the Assembly, this has been my big issue, and it keeps getting larger and larger. Initially there was the OPM breach and the Anthem breach and the Sony breach, but now this one, the Equifax breach, really affects a very substantial number of Americans. Last week, I had a hearing with the Banking and Privacy Committee, and what we found was that Equifax was not very responsible in protecting your data. So most Americans can now assume that their Social Security number and their address and their driver's license is out. The bad guys have it, it's on the dark web, and so you need to do everything you can to protect yourself and your credits. So.
That's a scary thing, though. I mean, and not even knowing if your information is out there.
It's the best thing to do. A third of all Americans were affected, and you can go to the Equifax website and it'll tell you for sure if your information is out. But what we've been recommending as an office that everybody do right now in this uncertain period is to lock their credit at all 3 credit reporting agencies. And if you contact my office, we have a special little brochure on how to do that, how to freeze your credit. And then do check your 3 credit reports at annualcreditreport.com. It's a government approved website, and you can see if anybody has already opened credit in your name. It is extremely important that you remain vigilant, because these bad guys will not be using your Social Security in the next 6 months, but they could in the next 6 years or in the next 10 years. So locking your credit right now is the best way to protect it.
Yeah, that's a real touchy thing for a lot of people, because you may not even know until you go and check your credit.
Right.
If it's been, compromised.
And locking it up is one way to ensure that nobody opens credit in your name. And we are going to have to find some other way to identify people, because these Social Security numbers are all over all over the web right now. And we had a bill last year which allowed parents to lock up their children's credit, because what we found is actually, until last year, the number one way that credit reports were, or credit was abused, was the children's credit, because nobody would be checking for 18 years. And then children all of a sudden look at their credit reports and they can't get college financial aid, or I heard a story about somebody that had to postpone college for 6 months because their credit had been completely ruined. By credit thieves. So it's very important. Only 1% of the population has locked up their credit at this point, so I encourage everybody to do it, and if they need instructions, like I said, just give our office a call.
Right, or they can go to your website for the 44th District. There will be a lot of information. Should people have other questions or want to get to know you a little bit better and know some of the issues you're working on, you can go to there too.
Oh, absolutely.
Terrific.
I encourage it.
Well, thank you so much, 44th District Assemblymember Jacqui Irwin. Thank you for joining us on the show today.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. And thank all of you for joining us on Our Ventura. From all of us here, we enjoyed your company. We invite you back for our next show. Bye-bye, everybody.